Welcome to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple, to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So, stay with us, as right now we present. Very excited. Some of my favorite people in the entire world are here. That is SistersJ. Bring everybody on because this is fun to do. And ladies, how are you? And Ted, how are you? Didn't know you could play that well. And well, silly me.
Neither did I.
Why weren't you in the video, Mary?
I didn't make the cutting room floor. I was actually busy trying to hoard all the.
I hate it when that.
Round up all the kiddos.
We tried because her, my dad, and my grandma were all in one clip where everybody was when we were doing Ring Around the Rosie, but everybody was going one way and the camera was going the other. So every time I watched it, I got so dizzy. I was like, if I'm dizzy, everybody else is going to be dizzy. So I can't do that. But it was one of my favorite clips, though. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I tell you what,
it makes me cry every time I watch it.
It really is a piece of art that is going to stand the test of time, I think, because you, first of all, Elizabeth, what were you, 16 when you wrote that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
How is that even possible? Because that is, and then how much work did Ted? How much work did you have to do to fix it up? I guess I don't know.
Oh my God, we started this all last year, and we kept on. They sang at least 15 different days, 12 hours a day, over and over and over again. I mean, it was just so much work. No, it was, these girls can sing. They just can sing right away. It, makes it. You work on things on the track and the music and stuff like that, but their vocals are just, they just sound. They have a sound. And the only thing we did is we just had them sing like everything together, because it just makes it even more powerful. Their voices are so alike that you can't even tell that they're singing together. It's just really amazing. You talk to them on the phone, you don't know who you're talking to. They sound exactly the same. So they are just unique and special. In that video you were referencing before, I could just talk about them. I don't need a script or anything.
Yeah, well, and if you want to go to SistersJ, which is the YouTube channel, they've got some things there. Then, including Ted did an interview and was talking about the girls and how hard they work and what they do, and reference some of the people. Because if you don't know who Mr. Perlman is, and I don't like to call you Mr. Perlman because it's a sign of respect for somebody that has done so many things with so many people, including Dylan and Whitney Houston and just a ton of folks. And ladies, it has to make you feel good that he puts you in the same category with them.
It's hard to fathom that sometimes. I still think he's teasing us, but I know he's being genuine, so it really does mean a lot.
No, this point, so I worked with all these people, and that's all great, right? But since I got to Nashville, I like what I'm doing. It's just more important to me, because it's just from where my life is now. So all those people, they're all great and everything, but like working with these two wonderful girls and their family, it's like that's where my heart is, and that's who I am. So when I was working with Bob Dylan, Bob is something special, but he's not them. And Bob doesn't hit me here, in my heart. So it's this where I am in my life now, with my faith and my life. So this is more important to me. The people, whether it's the SistersJ or Billy Gaines, these people really mean more because their faith path parallels my own, and that it just makes the music sound better. My personal life, my wife, all of it in Jesus makes all of this more important than 1,000 names I could pull out. So, when I talk about what's important to me, and if I do an interview like this, I talk about them because they're what's important to me now.
As well, they should be, because I will tell you, the videos that you guys have produced, and hopefully I'm going to be able to play Open Win, which is just a dynamite song as well. You have, rather than a superficial attitude at a very young age, and Mary, this must be your fault, and you and your husband's fault.
It is all our
But
fault.
Yes.
but at a very tender age, you have it's like you're an old soul. You have a really cool heart, and you really care for a lot of different kinds of people, regardless of who they are, where they come from, or what they were born with, that they've got a challenge or two.
Mhm.
It's just amazing to me that at your age you're not being superficial. You're being really down to earth. It's pretty remarkable. Congratulations, Mary.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really grateful for it. I was around it my whole life. The influence that was in my life, I remember being 6 years old and my next door neighbor had Down syndrome. That was like my first experience with it. And I didn't know that it was different. You know what I mean? It was explained to me by her parents. But my mother came into the workforce in the 70s. She worked at a college in Orlando and didn't know what she was doing, but God laid a passion on her heart. And all the laws were coming in, like IDEA and FAPE, and disability laws are coming in. And she got a job at a college, and she was put in the disability office, which you don't use those words anymore. But all of her students were handicapped. I mean, use disability, don't use the word handicap anymore, but all of her students had a handicap of some sort. And there was nothing for the kids, no programs or anything at the colleges. So my mother, with no understanding of what she was doing, started writing grants, and all this money was coming in from the federal government at that time with these new laws. So she was able to get money at the college, and she wrote all these programs and then traveled the country, not knowing what she was doing, just doing what God told her to do, right? And she was able to train others across the country. And some of those programs are still used today. But when I was growing up, there would be any time, middle school, high school, where we might have somebody at the house who was in a wheelchair or cerebral palsy or was deaf or was blind, and they would be eating dinner at our house with us. For my mother took people in, home cooked meal, compassion. So that was kind of normal with growing up for me. And I really had no idea that effect that it would have on me as an adult, becoming an advocate and then having two children with needs. And actually all three of my kids have had needs at various times. But becoming an advocate and that being a profession I do in my life, I think all kids need to be around all kids, all kinds of kids, because it teaches them compassion and it teaches them that everyone is just beautiful the way they are. And it allows them to come outside of themselves and not just think about themselves. I think it's a really important thing that's missed a lot of places.
Yeah, I agree. And, Ted and I were of a certain age where I remember a, I remember a place called Fircrest School in the Seattle area. And that's where Down syndrome kids were housed. They were taken out of the community. This is back in the 60s. They were taken out of the community and were housed at these places. So you never saw them.
Right.
And
Wow.
yeah, but there are some just watching that video, the shining faces and the unabashed joy that they feel. It's just amazing. And it's I wish I we think that we are normal and they're not. I wish that we were like them and would have unabashed joy about everything that we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They are great teachers for us. You think about a child is born, maybe you have a child who's deaf and blind or one or the other. As a parent, you have to learn the world through their eyes or ears, and you have to come outside the box to learn, how does all this work? I mean, Lily and my son were both nonverbal as children, and I had to teach Lily her alphabet through song because she couldn't say the letters. I had to teach her her own language. And so that was my entrance into the world of, okay, so we have to do this a little differently. I got to figure out what's going to work for my child. And this is our norm, whatever's going to be for the highest and best good of my kid to help them be the most successful they can be. That's what I did. And I mean, I'm not saying I've done anything any better than anyone else. That was our life path. And, Lily went from not being able to speak the English language to she's a singer. She has written a 500-page novel. She's in animation and filmmaking in college. I mean, anything is possible,
Many times.
Huh?
Go ahead.
She's just been a lead actress on stage many times. She's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, she's conquered so many things, and so is my son. I mean, my son was born and he couldn't swallow. He stopped growing in utero. I mean, we were prepared for the worst case scenario with him. I mean, he was nonverbal regressed as well. And I mean, it's just, the power of the mind is absolutely an amazing thing. And to see children conquer things, it's just amazing. It's absolutely incredible. And even if you have a challenge, there's still a lot you can do. So that should never, ever keep you from trying things in life. A parent should only encourage their children.
Well, Mary, and Ted, I think will back me up on this, but I've been around a while and I tend to listen. I listen very closely when people are having a conversation, and you are so loving and caring with your kids that it shines
Mm.
through in the things that you do. You don't you seem to be very patient and very giving and very loving, and that translates into something that's great for them as well. And it'll go down through the generations. We have a choice. We can either have negative generations going down and down, or we can have a positive impact generation, and it tends to go through. And then because you guys are you got great energy and great vibration, that great people tend to gravitate towards you. And like Ted, who is,
Mm,
and he's
yes.
an amazing man in his own right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he now, I understand, is an honorary member of the family.
Oh, absolutely. He and Emily are, and we're just, we're collecting people, and it's wonderful that, and girls, you can attest to this. What did Ted do? I'm like, my camera's up here.
He just shown he
Yes,
he
shining his
needs
own light.
he needs to powder his head is what he needs to do. It's just a little shiny.
But I feel like we're collecting people as we go, right, Ted? And
Mhm.
everyone we seem to be involved with, and I hope it stays this way. Has integrity, hardworking, and Jesus is at the heart.
Sure.
Um, and who wants to be a part of what's already going out there in the world?
We should
Some of it's not
also.
great.
There's a movie I recommend. It's called Champions. So I don't know if you just saw this with Woody Harrelson. And there's he has the kid, a whole bunch of kids with Down syndrome, and there's one little girl. She's really great, and
Oh yeah.
he's talking loud to her. She's going, "I have Down syndrome. I'm not deaf." And she yells at him. She's this little. She's like the best basketball player. He has to coach because he gets busted for drunk driving. So he has to do community service. So he has to take care of all these kids, and some of them have everything that you would say that ADD, this and that, and everything. Down syndrome. But he just falls in love with them, and he got them to like win the championship. It was great. But that whole dynamic, and it just makes everything. There's no disability. It's just all these cool kids that are just
Right.
wonderful. And as I said, Woody Harrelson's great. It's a great movie. It's a really great movie.
I'll have to watch that.
I've seen previews of that. I would recommend that.
Yeah.
And the other thing that struck me in watching you guys is that me and my brother grew up. We're 18 months apart, and we didn't really get along our whole lives. My sons are 3 years apart. They don't get along their whole lives, and yet you've got two beautiful girls who love each other. And even when you were just sitting there waiting for me to get my act together so that we could do this episode, um you guys were sitting there laughing and carrying on, because it's clear that you have a deep affection for one another, and that is really cool.
I'm proud of it. I love it.
Very grateful to have it. We do too. It's
Mhm.
I threatened them, growing up.
yes, we've been so scared getting mad at each other because
You better like your sister, or you're not eating dinner.
this is an act we've been putting on this whole time.
Yep.
No, we used
Yep.
to argue a lot when we were younger,
Yeah.
but as we've gotten older, it's like having a built-in best friend. And you can say the same thing with Carson too. We're a little trio. Well, quintet with the whole
Little
family.
sink, still learning the ropes. Like,
You should see us. Our work dynamic is really interesting.
Yes,
I
that's
just
a good
take
word
turns.
for it.
I take turns fighting. You have to fight with them different because they're each individual. But fight with Lily, fight with Elizabeth, fight with Lily, fight with Elizabeth. Get tired of that. Fight with Mary. Play with Carson. It's like that. Say hey to Charlie. They just go from room to room. Play with the dog. Say hi to the mother.
And then Ted says, "But I'm Italian. I'm from New York. This
you
is why I do it."
the other day, and it scared the crap out of her. And I was like, babe,
All right,
It's her
bark at
dog,
the dog.
Bella.
Yeah, the
he like
dog.
barked at her, and she's never had that done before to her. It scared her,
like,
and it was really
"What?"
funny.
Bless her heart.
Yeah, their family is just really like an extended version. It's like my extended family, and just all of them. They just went right into my heart like instantly. It was like, what happened? So I said, but what's great is that I can work with them, I can talk to Mary about business. We can disagree about business, whatever like that, but we can work and we can have a personal relationship. So it's wonderful. You don't always get that. Sometimes you can have a business or personal thing, and the two kind of like clash against each other. But
Yeah.
this one is just really special. I'm not afraid to talk to. I'm afraid to talk to Lily, but I'm not afraid to talk to Mary.
Lily may be small, but she's a little scary sometimes.
Yes, she is. She is not to be messed with. I mean, they're both strong, really strong, and I don't kid with anybody that I don't love and respect. If I don't love and respect you, I am not funny. I am not affable or communicative or something like that. I just, okay, thank you, okay, bye. That means I don't really think much of you. But if I'm like, making 10 stupid jokes or whatever like that, that means I really truly respect. And it's hard for me to love anybody I don't respect. And I just respect them as individuals, as part of a group, as part of a family dynamic, and they're just, I can't say enough.
Well, Lily, what makes you so
Wait,
tough?
did I say everything I wrote down? Yeah.
Yeah, did you put on your list? We love you, Ted, very much. It's an honor and a blessing to have you in our lives, and it
Can't say enough. Emphasize how much you love them. Yeah, okay, I got it.
So, Lily, what makes you so tough?
Ooh,
I don't know.
she's the youngest one. Youngest,
What I want.
middle girl.
you got yeah, she's the middle kid. That's part of it, right?
I'm not
She
sure.
gotta-
I know what I want. I
I think it's because she couldn't, we couldn't understand her when she was little. So maybe that's what gave her fighting spirit. I don't know.
She'll also tell you how it is. Like she's
I will
very
tell you how
blunt,
it is.
and I've always admired that because I've tried to grow out of it. I sugarcoat things a little too much, and then she'll tell you how it is. How did you do that? And
See,
you're
the thing
alive?
is that I won't tell it directly to someone that it is about, but I will tell her, and it will be facts. And I'm just like,
She is still very young, but very wise beyond her years. Like there are things that she's like yelled at one of her friends because they were asking for advice, and she said it like she was speaking from like a Jane Austen novel or something. And I was like, it took me like 10 years to figure that out. What? That's really cool.
That's
I
true.
don't know where it comes from other than God. So
Well, where else would it come from, dear?
She's older than you and me, Kevin.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
is older than everybody here. But as her mother, sometimes I have to go, Lily. I have to give her. I have to go. Okay, child, back down. Because sometimes the girls will say "bruh" to me, and I'm like, I'm
Wait,
not your bra,
What?
bro. I am your
you're
mom.
my friend other than
What's
my mom.
Rob?
My friend.
No, they're like,
Rob?
or Alyssa will go, or she'll text me and go, "Brah" or "dude."
I'd
Bruh.
say dude more than I haven't said bruh in a long time.
I
It's just-
know.
Rob? What's
It's basically saying what?
I know.
We're doing this.
Here we go.
Rob.
You're giving
I know. I'm giving. Oh no, where'd the girls go? Oh no,
Up.
did they drop off?
They're here. Hold on.
Okay.
There
What
you are.
happened?
The curtain's closed in front of us. We've been waiting.
Yeah, Okay, you're done. The curtain closed. You're off. Get out of here.
I'm kidding.
goodness. Okay.
But
Yeah, bring it
Lily's very sweet too. She's very strong. I know that like some of our neighbors when Carson and all their kids were little, and as adults we wanted to sit and have an adult meal, and the kids would be maybe up here in the bonus room, somebody screaming. We just send Lily up here. She just come up here and just roll over them. All right, stop that. Sit down. Y'all split up. We just let her have it. We're like, we're gonna finish our dinner.
James, one of our neighbors, he used to call me the warden. And I was like,
The warden?
Yeah.
the warden, because I have a very loud voice when I want to command something because of theater. I learned how to talk very loudly. So
Bloody County Jail. Let me do Jailhouse Rock.
But yeah.
Let's rock. Let's
So-
rock.
I mean, my theater director makes me do it because I can get everyone's attention.
Well, so let me see. You guys are Elizabeth is the singer or the songwriter,
Yeah.
and you are the illustrator and and screenwriter. Did you just do
Story.
screenwriting too?
Well, I'll eventually turn my stories into screen plays because I want to turn them into TV shows and stuff. But yeah,
You guys are really talented, and part of that's because Mary's really talented. You've got a book series coming out. What's the name of the book series you decided? This is a world premiere, by the way, I think.
Yes. So the series, we have just renamed it and revamped it. It's going to be the Inspired Kids series. And there's 3 of them in it to start with right now. And one is called Perfectly Me. It's so sweet. And then one's called Look at Me. And the other one's called Oh, the Wonder of Me. And so they're like newborn to kindergarten, 2nd grade. And they're pretty much inspired by Little Man, who I had very late in life, but they're really inspired by my kids, period. But very excited about it. So we've got the Inspired Kids series coming out, and then we're going to do an Inspired Kids collection, and that's going to be some various stories.
Well, congratulations! You guys are working very hard to help humanity in a bunch of different ways, and
We're
it's
trying.
really
What is he giggling about down there?
It's sneezing. I put sneezing.
Oh, I kept muting it because I kept sneezing. I didn't want to interrupt Mom. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
and bless you, by the way.
Thank you.
Bless you.
So so you've got 3 songs out now, and you're working on a 4th, right?
Yes, sir.
How far along is the 4th one?
We have.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's really cool. We did a radio interview last week on Nashville Free Radio, and they premiered it on there. I mean, it's not finished, but it's it's still sneezing. Sorry. Hold on a second. I like doing sound effects anyway. But
Your phone was sneezing?
No, I pulled the sneeze sound because Elizabeth was sneezing, so I wanted to add the sound effect. But Mary and my wife Emily were in the other room, and they were singing this song, Creeks and Rivers, and just like they were in there crying, just beautiful. All I heard all the way home from the station was how beautiful it was. So we started working on that the other day, and it's magical. It's a really magical song.
So the saga continues. When are you going to put out your first album?
Okay. Don't see that lady up at the top right?
Yeah, don't get Ted started.
Yeah. First of all, I understand that putting a complete album together of 10 or 12 songs is extremely expensive.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so we need a donation button. Anyone out there that wants to donate, we will freely take it.
You can do a whole album for $15.95.
No, you cannot.
More time in the world. We need that.
Try 50,000.
$15.95. Yes. No, it's not just the expensive part of it. It's the time. As you can tell from the Hardy girls down here, they are very busy, and I'm busy. So coordinating Mary and their schedule and my schedule is a little bit of work. There's school and there's work and travel.
Makes magic.
Yeah, so getting everybody in the same place takes a lot of work, but it shouldn't be much longer.
No, we've got enough songs. We just have to get them finished, and well, I say we, Elizabeth, Lily, and Ted have to get them finished in order to. But we have enough material, and then we're going to be putting on. I don't know when. I was hoping to have a date today to talk about. A concert. I think we're going to do it live, but it'll be online as well, so other folks can watch. And part of what we're going to be doing is raising awareness and funds for Down syndrome and Autism Association.
That's really good. That's really cool. So, but you don't have a date for that yet.
No, I don't have a date for it yet because we are coordinating, we have to coordinate our schedules and then some of the other artists that we have joining us. I've got to get everybody's, schedule coordinated. So it takes a little bit of back and forth for that. So Sure.
Well, and you guys have started doing some live shows. You're going to do a bunch of different live things. How do you like that? Is that better than being in the studio?
I think there's magic to both aspects of it. Like playing live is really cool because you get to sing to people and tell stories to people, and you get to see the look on their faces and blah 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 blah, just to be there with other people. And then in the studio, you get to kind of create that kind of magic together, which is really fun. So it's like we've played more live than we have in a long time, and it's really really cool.
Yeah.
Like the other day, we played at a festival with Ted, and that was a really surreal experience.
Yeah, we got
Really
there and I
cool.
was like, the stage is, oh wow. Oh my God, there's a lot of people here.
It was really cool.
It was really, really cool. I don't know which one of these you can see here, but if you can see, I'm putting up to the microphone. Can you?
I
Can you
can
see
know if
even
they-
hear it, but I
How's
can't
it look?
see it.
Yes, I can hear photos and taste color.
Funny taste color. That's a song.
Oh yeah, you
but
can
that's
kind of
You,
see it,
you
not
can
really.
kind of see it.
I know.
You're
Kinda
blurring
blurry.
the like
right,
mess.
right.
Oh, wait.
Again,
There,
you can go to
There.
SistersJ on YouTube.
there it was. Okay.
Yeah, I posted it on the YouTube page.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
I did.
Well,
I
Ted
did
brought
show-
together. Go ahead, Ted.
This one better, but yeah. So I did.
There we go.
I did a show, and it was called Ted Perlman and Friends, and I brought up 3 of the people that I'm producing, and they came up, and they were just beautiful, and they just great, and it was cool to do. We've been doing Breathe In with just the guitar, so it was nice to do it with the track from the record, and to have all the background vocals and stuff like that. I mean, you record something, and in the old days, like when you go back to like Frank Sinatra, they would do something on the road and then go record it after you know all the insides and outs. So nowadays you end up doing it backwards, because once you start doing it live, especially we don't have a band, so we were doing with tracks, and I brought a keyboard player along. But when you start working live with a band, like I remember hearing Britney Spears talk about this, that once she started doing it live, and Britney Spears is like, although she got made fun of as just being this like shallow artist, she came from the Disney talent pool, so she was trained in dancing, singing, and everything. So she was really, really good. And when they got on the road, they just started opening the arrangements up to allow more, interaction with the audience, and you just want to lift it to another level. So I can't wait to take these out and take a band with the 2 girls and just see where the songs grow to. When there's an audience there, it's a whole different thing.
So you played Breathe In for the live audience. Did you get a response? What kind of response did you get?
Oh, people left, got up, and walked away.
It was a really positive response.
Mhm.
It's always really cool to see Emily cheering down at the front, and then to see Mom and Dad and Carson. And we saw some friends that we haven't seen in a while. There were neighbors, people that Dad used to work with. I saw one of my friends that I went to elementary school with, and so it was really cool to see just a bunch of like a variety of people to come out and like. I mean, what do you think?
I think it's cool to see people's faces light up and their heads just start popping.
Yes,
And it's just like, yeah, get the beat, please.
that's like
Right.
even our sound tech, Caitlin, who came from the CMC
Yeah.
down there with Giovanni, in the video, when you guys were there, head would start going back and forth. It was cool. When we did the Bluebird Cafe,
yes,
they got the best response of any of there were 18 different acts on
Yeah.
that night. And so, they decide if they have time, you can come back and do a second song. So I just knew they'd be asked to come back and do a second song because the place went crazy and they were just applauding. And instead of that, they picked the second song from some computer generated random number thing. I was like, what?
Right.
They killed it. They were just
Yeah. Well, and it was funny because the whole night, almost every artist who got up said, I need to take their advice. I need to breathe in right now. So it was a song that really touched everybody in the Bluebird that night. And so there were things that kept being said about it. So it was it's one that struck the memory, which was good. Because I don't know, was that the first time y'all had done that? Maybe you hadn't done it live like that very much that was like in the beginning. I think that was a while ago.
We did it a couple of different ones, Salt
We did
Festival,
it
and
just
other places.
Oh, right. Yeah, there was a couple other places. But, the Bluebird, Kevin, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's very tiny, very, very tiny and iconic here in Nashville because a lot of people have been discovered there. A lot of famous people come through. They have lots of concerts there, but it's super tiny. They probably can't fit more than I would assume 100 people in there, maybe 75. I don't know.
It's tight.
But it's very tight. And so the stage, where the stage is set, it's very intimate in there. And so when the singer songwriter or group is on stage, you can't have more than 3 people up there. The entire room is completely focused on that person or those people on stage, and nobody moves, nobody gets them to go to the bathroom, nobody really even touches their drinks or anything, because it's so quiet while you're listening to the person performing. So it is a really cool experience.
I have 10 jokes from what you just said. That
Oh, good Lord. Okay, Ken.
Are you having
roll it
trouble
off.
with frequent urination? SistersJ will keep you from peeing for as long as they're on stage. I mean, I could run an infomercial for do you suffer from listen to our music? You will stay out of the bathroom. Sorry. edit, cut this part out.
When we were singing our song, and like I went back and watched the video, and there were a few people in the front. They were just bopping the whole time, and it was so cool to see people just kind of get into it. And we haven't had that response before.
No.
So it kind of it almost helps you relax on stage, because instead of them just like staring at you like statues, they're getting into it as much as you are, which is really cool.
Yeah.
They're so honest when they come on stage and sing. There's just an honesty about them. There's no pretension, and it's just this is who we are. There's nothing fake about us, and it just people feel that, and they can get that. The audience feels it.
You're genuine, and oh, by the way, there are people that are in their 30s and 40s that are just now learning how to breathe and to breathe in. How did you write that when you were 16?
I really don't know. We actually
know.
God, I mean, really, God. I remember I had half of the song done, but like all of these words just kind of came to me, and she helped me finish writing it. I mean, she's just as much a songwriter as I am, but I remember finishing it right there. My bed's right here. I finished writing it right here. I have this like core memory. But I remember I started writing it downstairs in these chairs that we've had for like 20 plus years. And I wanted to write a lullaby to kind of just be comforting to people struggling with anxiety and stress, because that's everybody in the world. Because we all struggle with stress at some point in our lives, myself including. Because around that time there was just a lot going on in high school, blah 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 blah. But I remember finishing it. I was showing it to one of my other friends, and then I was like, Lily, help me finish this. Because the words just kind of, we use the word download. They just kind of came to me. And then we started singing it together, and Lily put in her harmonies, which she's a genius at that. It's really cool. And then I remember not really feeling the punch of the words until I was a sophomore in college. So I was 19. Our age at that point, and there was a coffee shop by the school where I was going to, and they did open mic nights, and I went to go play. And then I was talking about the song who we called Who You Are at the point, and I was explaining it, and it almost felt like the words just kind of came out of my mouth like, this is God telling me to just breathe in and remember who you are, and just relax and remember that you're a child of God. And I was like, whoa, where did that come from? And I was like, if I need to hear this, so does everybody else. And so that's just how we feel about what we feel about it, how we see it. But it also can be interpreted in so many different ways, which is the platform that we've tried to use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, breathe. A breath is like a prayer. The amen is really men. The and the amen. So that exactly.
Well, and I will tell you, and I know that when Ted sits and talks to guys that have been songwriters for a long time, they'll tell you the exact same thing. I don't know where it came from. It just showed up. And some people call it a download. Some people call it inspiration. Because music is one of the things that is given to us from somewhere else, because it has such an impact on all of us emotionally and physically, and and except when Ted plays his guitar.
Somewhere out there beneath the dun dun dun.
Because I've told this story many times that Paul McCartney woke up with yesterday and had no idea. That happens to all of us. It can if you let it, if you're open to it, and it
First
doesn't have to
Samuel,
be in when you're 110 like me, huh?
First
Ted?
Samuel, First Samuel. Samuel heard the voice of God, and he said, "Here I am." In Hebrew, it's "Hineni," and then he yelled out, "What?" And the Eli, the old man he was living with, he said, "I didn't call you." And then same thing again. Here came the voice, and Samuel cried out, "Hineni, here I am." And then finally he realized God was talking to him. So that's happened. Joan of Arc heard God talk to her.
Yeah, she
So
did.
it could be to write, it could be to put your hat on or take your hat off. God will tell us what to do. We just need to listen. What choices to make. Sometimes we don't listen, and it usually doesn't work out very well. But pay attention to that voice. A lot of times, God's voice may sound like us, but it's not our words. It'll come into our
Right.
head. So that's what I hear.
Yeah. And that nudging you have about telling you things to do or not to do, or people to talk to or not talk to, or
Yes,
directions to go, that's all
yes,
God. I mean,
yes.
that's where my first children's book came from in 2013. I was in a state of complete, incredible gratitude for surviving the birth of my son and him surviving. And in an instant, it's like this story came, and I didn't even have a notebook around me, so I had to remember it. And I was like, wow, that is so cute. I love that. I'll save it for my son. And so I didn't do anything with it for 2 years because I just thought I didn't realize I was supposed to do something with it, except that there was this nudging, I felt like on my shoulder, that kept saying, you've got to do something with this story. And then I didn't know who to talk to or where to go. So I just naively talked to somebody who was published. And they happened to introduce me to our friend Thornton Klein and said, I think you guys would get along. And we met, and he read what I wrote. He read all the things I had written at that time, because all this stuff started coming out and everything was in rhyme. And I was like, where's this all coming from? And this floodgate opened. And he said, I really like this story. Can I write 10 original songs for it? And I was like, sure. I don't know. You don't say no to that, right? And and he did it in a week and came over to the house. The girls were here. Carson's OT therapist was in the house, and he played it on our keyboard, and I cried because it was just perfect for the book. The girls recorded the songs. We got a contract very quickly with the publisher. The book launched February 9th of 2017. And then that's kind of how the girls started singing publicly, other than praise and worship music at church, or leading worship. I'd have a book event and they would come and sing the songs. And that's sort of how the journey began.
And of course, you do understand that is just a wild coincidence, right?
Well, it's when you surrender and allow, and you you surrender, and you then all the doors open. When you listen to what God has for you to do, or your plan, or what your path is, then it's like all these doors open, and they definitely don't open when you're pushing that rock up the hill. They may open, they just don't open gracefully.
I want to know about Carson's Old Testament therapist. You said
his OT.
In seminary, we studied NT and OT.
That's occupational.
OT 500, NT.
That's occupational therapy, but that's hilarious.
Okay. I thought he had a therapist would pay us, and like a Hasidic rabbi outfit on.
He came in the house like this.
Yeah, Hassan, it's time to do your Hassan.
I just have to say that Mary, when I called you the other day and you were at the studio, you guys were having the time of your lives. You're having a really good time working on stuff, and it's really nice to see people that get along. And I've been so fortunate in my life because I get to talk to some really outstanding people, and what I've learned is that the commitment that one has to one's family can change everything about what happens in life. There's a gentleman who's going to be on the show again. He wrote Daddy's Girl, and his daughter, when she was 27 years old, had a baby, and then they discovered she had stage 4 colon cancer and
Mm.
had less than a year to live. I got the chance to interview her son, who is now 17, because the family worked together and they worked with to find the finest therapist and and had a lot of faith, and they got through it, and now she's cancer free.
Wow.
That's the kind of stories that I love to hear and love to talk about.
Oh, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
And it happens, and it can happen to all of us, and it does happen to all of us. And look at the two of you shining stars that are going to be doing some great work in your lives, and you're going to be I think you're going to be able to do anything that you choose to do,
We're trying.
however that plays out.
I think like kind of all started when Mom started writing books like officially, and then met Thornton, because when we met Thornton, we started writing through that and music, and then I became a published illustrator after that, and I think it kind of started there because I started writing because Mom started writing. So I thought that was pretty cool.
So at the tender age of 19, you're a published illustrator.
Yes.
Yes, she is.
You know, that's really not fair. That you guys have so much talent. It's not fair.
Well, I mean, you can't really complain.
Well, she started drawing when she was about 18 months old. So both the girls did a lot of drawing as children. And she would sit there at the age of 2 and 3 and draw like details for days on one thing. And I would be like, is that normal? But you know what? She's busy and it's healthy. I'm going to let her just go for it, you know? And the girls, when they got a little bit older, they would do stop motion videos. Like they spent like, I don't know how many summers it was. And their little friends would come over and they would spend all day on these little stop motion Barbie videos. Right. And, yeah. And it was wonderful because I was like, they're having so much fun. But because Elizabeth was in the bedroom, because, Elizabeth was very, very, very shy. And so shy that she at times wouldn't talk to anybody. You know, she wouldn't, I'd be like the only person she would talk to. And because of, I guess, being a creative person myself and knowing that we are these, we're just these channels for creativity to flow through, right, in this world. And that is our son, my son in the background, folks. Why don't you come over here and wave? Okay, I think he's feeling left out, so he's making as much noise as he possibly can. No. Shh. No, baby dinosaur, stop. Okay, so he's always a party. There's never a dull moment. Okay, so
That's why you're a great mom.
oh my gosh, I don't know about a great mom. I'm not sure what my kids would say, but what I saw was
Take that back.
okay. Blah, 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 blah. So what I saw was the girls were. I used music like when Elizabeth was in utero and Lily was too. I listened to a lot of orchestral music. So when the girls were little, that was some of their very favorite music, Bach, Tchaikovsky, all these different artists. And so they have a large repertoire of music they love. And both of them have played in orchestra, both play multiple instruments. But because we're intended to be creative, I'm just watching a tornado over here. Because we're intended to be creative, I think if you open that channel for your kids and just, I would say to them, if you need to talk about something, you can't process it, or you don't know how you're feeling, you need to write about it. You need to draw it. You need to dance it out. You need to exercise. You need to do whatever it is, okay, I need you to calm down now, please. Aww. Whatever it is, use that, you just hang it up. Use that channel for you. Now, in their life, it allowed Elizabeth to be able to write how she was feeling when she couldn't talk about it. So I think that's why she's such an incredible writer. And for Lily, what happened, she, and we won't go into any detail, but she did go through a trauma. She went through a trauma as a child. She went through a trauma as a child. Sorry, I've said that 3 times now. And art was her channel, her way to process through her life. So I've seen the great effects of the creativity, different avenues for what it has done for my kids. And so here we are. And they use those tools in their life now, even, when they need to deal with something. I mean, watching Elizabeth play an instrument like the clarinet, because that's her first instrument since she was 11. But watching her play, she becomes one with that instrument. And that, to me, when somebody can do that, that is one of the most beautiful things you could ever watch with a person, because in that moment, they are expressing all they are. And it's so pure,
I just want to make sure that everybody who's listening to this now or in the future understands that these two beautiful girls who have angelic voices that write and do what they do. One of them didn't speak when she was a child. The other one was terribly, terribly shy. And now they get on stage in front of 500 people or 10 people or whatever it is, and do some remarkable things. You're a wonderful family, and you're a great example of what can be if everybody works together for the betterment of all. And you should be very, very proud of yourselves. And I know Ted tells you that all the time, don't you, Ted?
Yeah, I found a recording of Elizabeth playing, and hold on a second, wait. Let her finish here. Here it is. I dug this up. So I was recording it before she even met me. This is how beautiful she plays.
Carson, just type that out.
I mean, she played really nice.
I don't know. It sounds like me, but I don't know.
No, that was you. And it was you, hold on a second. It was you playing the Rhapsody for Solo Clarinet by G. Milichuccio. And it sounded really, really nice.
You're very kind.
And I would like to thank all of you guys for coming back. And with the new song, Breathe In, I hope it sells 1 billion copies, and because it can really be helpful to humanity. And that's what you do. And that is so cool that you do that. You do that all. Mary, anything before we go?
Well, if we sell 1 billion copies, then we can pay Ted. We can get the album done. We can buy the old church bus he wants to and travel the country and sing.
Well, I take it on the road. So I was trying to drive the dog because I heard dogs.
Kevin's driving the bus.
So I was trying to like add this. This is where the noise for the dog is coming from, like that. So I can put my own sound on it, But there, it's hard for a kid to be just sitting there and the sisters upstairs and mother's on there like that. So kids like to be loved and be attended to and stuff. So I know even at my age, all of us just want, people to like just see us. So, he's an amazing kid. I said, he's in the video. He has musical talent, like he's full of musical talent. And I think he's going to do just some great things. He's really, besides being really, really good looking, which is going to be a problem for his parents. Also, you were saying that the talent for these two girls came from Mary. I want to give Daddy Jackson a little bit of credit for having something to do with that. Their father, Charlie's an amazing man. So, like I said, and then Mary's mother, Frida, is just wonderful. So there's so much talent and love in that family that just, from all over. I haven't even met all of them yet.
Oh, my Lord. I have the Tasmanian devil here with me. Oh my God! It's Kevin,
Carson, how are you? Anything else you'd like to add, Elizabeth and Lily, real quick before we go?
Thank you so much for having us on again.
Yes.
We very much enjoy hanging out with you and talking about the good things in life.
Very much.
And no.
he just look. Can you see what he just printed out?
Yes,
the label maker we had to buy for school to put all it on. The school wants the label on all his stuff, so he's going crazy with the label maker.
I imagine at your house it's kind of loud from time to time.
Always.
An understatement.
Yeah, Ted,
Yes, we
why don't you
are.
sing the new song for us? Sing our new song as we go.
We are Sisters J, fighting crime in every way. On Positive Talk Radio today with Kevin McDonald. We love him. That doesn't rhyme every day.
You guys are just special, and we're getting. Actually, I was planning to go.
Stop. Somebody's needing attention, I think, just a little bit.
Yes, indeed. So I was planning on actually going out with this, if you guys don't mind, and I want to thank you guys for being here. This is a song. It's called "Clearly" by a group called SistersJ.
Hey, that's awesome. That's Lily whistling.
The way you look at me is nothing like I've ever seen. And when you catch me by the arm, sparks fly like you wouldn't believe.